to watch Bald Guy. Bald Guy.
Are you getting any of this? I don't even know what the hell he's doing. Yeah, well, I got a pretty good idea. Remember all about you, Mahoney. He's the run of some New York hotshot, running all over the country, making dummies up and local guys.
What's going on?
Because that's what we're all about, Mahoney. See, your neck's on the line. And that's as real as it gets without skin breaking. You're the one who called us half hour ago. You said to come and get you.
Come on now, Timmy. You said from the mental hospital, I would take you back. Wait a minute.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. Things you probably should be doing or could be doing. What you just saw there, that was an example of what we would call an acting reel. Just a tool that we would use. For instance, maybe we wanted to get a better agent than the one we had, or maybe we heard that a casting agent in the studio is looking for a particular type of person. We might want to kind of slide our reel in front of them for them to look at. The process of getting a job as an actor in Hollywood has not changed in probably 100 years. Basically, you get an agent to represent you. Your agent submits you to the casting agents, and then maybe on a Monday or Tuesday, they'll call you up and say, hey, on Friday, you've got an audition for Will and Grace down at NBC. So you drive down to NBC, you walk into this huge cavernous waiting room about like this, and you're looking at 400 people all sitting there waiting to read for the same part you're reading for. Now, if you're lucky, if you have whatever spark it is they're looking for, you might get a call back, which means a day or two later, you drive back down to NBC, and now they've narrowed it down from 400 people to 278 people. And then you get a second call back, and they narrow it down to 114, and so on, until hopefully you get the job. But with stunts, it's completely different. Stunts, you're going to get a call directly from the coordinator, and he's going to say, hey, we got a Western over at Warner Brothers next week, 3 days worth of work, bring your gear back. Because with stunts, it's such a small, such an insular part of the industry that it's very important that the stunt coordinators know what you're capable of doing, that they've worked with you before, that they know that you can do a stunt, that you can't do this stunt, but more than anything, that you got a head on your shoulders so that you're not a real yahoo. Now, there may be an occasion where a stunt coordinator, let's say somebody's looking for a 6'1" ball guy to be a biker. Well, maybe they don't have that person in their stable of acquaintances, so they can reach out to another stunt coordinator and say, hey, do you know anybody that fits the bill here? And if it's somebody I've worked out with before, they might say, oh yeah, this is John Grantham, a really good guy, why don't you give him a call? In that case, the stunt coordinator might request a stunt reel. So what I thought I would do first, and then we'll open it up to any questions, I'll give you an example. This is a stunt reel that maybe a coordinator would be interested in. Now, there's no dialogue, I'll just talk over it. The first thing you're going to see was from a Nickelodeon show called Cousin Skeeter. And the stunt is, I play a burglar that breaks into a toy store. The stunt is, it's a little dark, but they roll marbles out on the floor. All I have to do is run, slide, and fall on real marbles. So, you're going to see that. Now that is a real play glass window for the TV series Sequest. I doubled the actor Peter DeLuise. That name sounds familiar. You may recognize his father, the comedic actor John DeLuise. Now, in this series, Peter's character discovered his evil twin. So all the fight sequences, the fire, he had to do that at least twice. Once with me playing Peter's good side, and once with me playing his bad side. But it's significant to me because the makeup that you see on my head and my arms, that took 5 hours every day to get into makeup before we even started filming. Now here I am, a dumb-looking actor, Arnold Vosloo for Charm. And back to Sequest, one of the great things about this series, it was produced by Steven Spielberg, so it had a huge budget for a TV show, so we were always able to have unlimited, we could crash things and blow things up, so that's a lot of fun. actor for winning, that was this. And I'm very proud of this because it was actually a two-parter, and we won the Daytime Emmy that year for this sequence. Now, I'm driving the dump truck here, doing a little bit of a high-speed chase, and two things you never want to do as a stunt performer. You never want to claim you can do a stunt if you're capable of doing it. You never want to take credit for a stunt if you did not do it. Now, we're going to roll this thing right now, and I didn't roll it, so I didn't put a disclaimer, but I've never seen anyone roll a dump truck before. And lastly, for a right guard commercial, if you look very carefully, you might see a very thin cable coming out of my back. That's called a jerk back rig. Theater and musicals and stuff there in town and community. Went off to the University of Mississippi with all designs of going into law school, because Ole Miss has a very fine law program. In fact, the author John Grisham is a graduate of Ole Miss Law School, which is why all his novels take place in small southern towns. And I was about 6 months in, about halfway through my freshman year, and I started to get the acting bug again. I thought, well, this is weird. I'm gonna come back to school. For another 3 or 4 years, I'll get a slip of paper that says I know how to act, and then I'll either have to move to LA or New York if I want to pursue an acting career. So the day after I turned 20, in all of my accumulated wisdom, I loaded everything I owned into a 1968 Volkswagen Beetle, drove 2,500 miles across country to LA without any idea how to go about the business of getting into show business. So I did what every starving actor does. I worked a series of jobs. I dug ditches. I moved pianos, worked constructions. And then about a year into this grand experiment, I was very lucky. I got hired to be a tour guide at Universal Studios. And that kind of changed everything. And about 6 months into that, the head of the entertainment department approached me and asked if I'd like to be the show announcer for the Western Stunt Show. And this was the old cowboy show where they'd run around and shoot each other off the roofs and stuff. So here I am, I'm 21 years old, I'm hanging out backstage at the biggest and busiest movie studio in the world with all of these grizzled Hollywood veterans. And looking back now, I realize they were only 26 and 27 years old. But I assure you they had a lot more experience than I did. So, as is often the case with stunts, is someone literally will throw their arm around your shoulder and say, come on, kid, let me show you the ropes. So, in between the shows there, we would walk out into the empty arena and they would teach me how to lasso, and then how to work a bullwhip, and then eventually how to throw punches, how to receive punches, and work my way up to doing high falls. So, what I thought was just goofing around and hanging out with a bunch of guys that I like, unbeknownst to me, they were training me in to actually do the show with them. So in TV work, and then became stunt coordinators, they would pull me up in their weight. So I went off, I started doing film and TV, commercials, got my Screen Actors Guild card. I then became a stunt coordinator, and then I can reach down to the next generation. So it's very much pay forward and pay back with the stunt aspect of everything. So that's kind of the short of it, and if that elicits any questions whatsoever, wherever you go, and CJ back here, you just raise your hand and I'll try to get to you.
Hi. So is there a stunt, now looking back, we go back, is there something that you wish you had learned? Like that you saw on fire or something like anything that you were like, oh, I wish I could have done that?
The only thing, well, first of all, the only stunts that I ever turned down because I just didn't feel comfortable doing it, didn't grow up around, was motorcycle stunts. I can ride a motorcycle, but if you need someone to jump in or to lay it down, and I would tell the stunt coordinators, I said, there's 1,000 guys who can do that better than I can. And they'd rather you be honest and say, I'm not your guy. The one thing I didn't get a chance to do was a full body burn, where you're completely engulfed in fire and you're running around. I've done a lot of partial burns on arms and legs and on your back, but with a full burn, they actually make kind of a prosthetic helmet of your head, and then inside you have a little breathing apparatus. You've got about 60 seconds of oxygen once they light you up, and you flail around, and then when you hit the ground, either because you're losing oxygen or you're starting to feel the heat, immediately your safety team runs in. So that would have been one I would have loved to have done. Do it again. So we have learned a lot, particularly with head trauma. It's taken much more seriously now. I can honestly say, without any fear of contradiction, I have been shot off a galloping horse over 10,000 times. Some days were better than others. So, there you go, CJ.
Comment on Tom Cruise doing his own stunts. Is that for real in Mission Impossible?
Does Tom Cruise do his own stunts? No, yes he does. Yeah, yes and no. Yes and no. Having said that, I do know Tom Cruise's stunt double. There are just some things that you just cannot put the star in. Tom is very athletic, he's very methodical, he has a tremendous relationship with the stunt team, with the second unit team, and he's very well respected in that regard. So if there's a situation where he can do it and the producers are okay with it, and in most cases for Mission Impossible, he is the producer, he can do it, but you can rest assured that everything, and a lot of the stuff he does now is considered wire work. So it's kind of like when you'll see our flyer in the Hero show. No more do you need to actually fall 100 feet into an airbag. You're going to be wired in on an accelerator. So we've been able to take a lot of that danger out of it. Or green screen. Sometimes you can have to do something from a green screen. So Tom is a good example of somebody that lays it on the line. But every acting, leading man, leading woman, everyone has a stunt double if they're going to do any type of action stuff. Rodrigo!
Yeah, how did you go from being a stuntman to a cruise director?
Yeah, I guess that's kind of the next obvious. It was during the actor strike of 2007, and nobody was working, and a producer friend of mine that I had done several projects for, she was actually doing consulting for Celebrity Cruises, which is our sister's company. And she called me up and said, look, I don't know what you're doing to pay the bills, but I might have a job opportunity for you. And I said, well, I'll talk to anybody about a part-time job. We don't know how long the strike's going to last. What is it? And she said, cruise director. And the only thing I knew about cruise directors was Julie from The Love Boat. So that was pretty much my reaction. I said, I don't think so. She said, no, I think you'd enjoy it. You get to see the world. And so did a telephone interview. They were intrigued. They flew me down to Miami. I was the first person they interviewed. They hired me on the spot, and a month later I was a cruise director. Just but certainly not the normal career path to become a cruise director, I assure you. What role did I not get that I really wanted? All of them. You have to understand, if you're a singer, a dancer, an actor, stunt performer, you lose more jobs than you ever get. All the auditions you go to, you have to have a very thick skin. You can't take rejection to heart. There was actually I think it was a Frito-Lay's commercial that featured Mark Messier, the skater, and they needed a stunt double for Mark Messier, and it came down between me and another guy, and Mark's like, I can't pick, and he just eeny, miny, moe, and the other guy got it. So that was a little different. Keep in mind also the whole process of getting the job. I had a very good friend that booked a national commercial, and you get a lot of money if you work a national commercial. And he went up to the director during the break and said, I hope you don't mind if I ask a kind of a professional question. You saw hundreds of guys audition for this role, and I'm just curious, was it anything about me personally, or was something I did or didn't do that made you pick me? And the director said, you want to know the truth? He said, yeah. He says, I took the box of videotapes home for the weekend, I gave them to my 12-year-old daughter and said, pick somebody. Sometimes you get picked by a 12-year-old girl. Dreams or even thoughts of being a stuntman, I really just wanted to be an actor because of my acting background. But hanging out with these stunt guys, I had the opportunity, and because stunts is such a small area, if you have a foot in the door, you want to take it. And so a lot of the work I did, I was kind of a gray area actor stuntman. So 50% of the jobs I got, I was hired, I was cast by a casting agent because they knew I could do some physical stuff. And sometimes the stunt coordinator would call me up to do stunts because they knew there might be some dialogue with the actor. So I was really able to play both sides of the fence a little bit, which is very helpful.
Yeah, a lot of American films are being made in different places other than Hollywood. You think it's the end of Hollywood for filmmaking?
No, I don't think the question was, do I think that Hollywood is kind of run its course? No, I think you'll always have a Hollywood, but a lot of states, Georgia, Atlanta in particular, I live in New Orleans now. New Orleans gets a lot of filming. Texas, of course. If you're doing a Western, you'd think you'd go to Texas, but obviously more Westerns are shot up in Canada, like in Calgary.
And overseas as well, right?
Some overseas, but it costs a lot more money to go overseas to get your whole. And some countries, like even Canada, they're going to hire Canadian actors, Canadian stuntmen, Canadian, directors and everything. So I had a friend of mine that was Gene Hackman's stunt double, and he made a movie I think called Narrow Margin years ago, shot in Canada. And initially they were going to use a Canadian stuntman to double him, but Gene said, no, this is my guy. So he was able to come up. But yeah, a lot like all the Marvel movies, they're all shot in Atlanta, Georgia, pretty much so. Yes?
Hi. As someone else in the industry, what was your opinion when you saw Chad Stahelski go from being stuntman to one of the directors of one of the most popular action series ever?
I think it's great. You see a lot more crossover where stunt performers or second unit directors or stunt coordinators, because they know the industry very intimately. It's terrific, and women are getting a lot more opportunities now. Some stunt women are starting to direct movies, so I don't care who you are if you'll hire me. But yeah, because they have a little more, I think, working knowledge of how to set things up as opposed to maybe an academic knowledge of filmmaking. So, going once. Oh, you got another one? Oh, right over there. See if you can grab that one.
Since you have become cruise director, have you been approached since then to get back in the industry?
To do stunts? Hollywood is a very out of sight, out of mind business. So if you're not there to pick up the phone or to go to the audition, they're just going to move on to the next person. Now, since I'm on a ship 4 months at a time and then have 2 months off, I'm not there to do well. In fact, I've moved, like I live in New Orleans now, but I do have an agent in Louisiana, so when I am home, and if I am in a position to audition, I will do so. There's a lot of stuff going on. Haunted Mansion just was there, and Nicolas Cage shot a movie there a couple of years ago. In fact, right before I joined the ship, I had auditioned for and gotten a TV show, and then they called me back to the ship early and I couldn't do it. So, just that close. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. I tell you what, I'll stand down here for a few. Oh, you have one? You have one? Or you're just waving your arm? That's okay. I'll stand right down here if you do have any other questions. Thank you so much for coming today. We'll see you at the shows tonight.